On the EA exam, a 501c(3) isn't the end of the story. Every 501c(3) is classified as either a public charity or a private foundation. Here's the trap. The default assumption is private foundation. So, unless the facts clearly fit an exception, you start from private foundation, then look for reasons it's treated as a public charity. Some organizations are treated as public charities basically by default because Congress views them as serving the public in an obvious way. Think churches, schools, and universities, and hospitals. If you see one of these in a fact pattern, your instinct should be public charity, even if donations come from a smaller group. That default status is a favorite shortcut on exam questions. For everyone else, classification usually turns on where the money comes from. Public charities have broad public support, lots of donors, fundraising events, and sometimes government support. Private foundations have limited support, like one family, one corporation, or a tight donor group. The exam will describe the funding sources and you label it. Broad support equals public charity. Limited sources equals private foundation. A common threshold you'll see is the 1/3 support idea. Generally, an organization won't be treated as a private foundation if it receives more than 1/3 of its annual support from governmental units and/or the general public. You don't usually need to compute it on the exam. You just need to recognize when the facts clearly show broad public or government funding versus concentrated funding. Once you classify it, the return often falls into place. Public charities typically file Form 990, or possibly 990-EZ or 990-N, depending on size. Private foundations generally file Form 990 picofarads every year. So if you see family-funded foundation, your brain should jump to 990 picofarads. If you see museum funded by many donors and events, think public charity and Form 990. Quick reality check examples. A museum funded mostly by public donations and fundraising events is a public charity and files Form 990. A foundation funded 90% by one family is a private foundation and files 990 picofarads. And remember, churches are a special case, often treated as public charities and generally not required to file Form 990 at all, even though they still handle payroll filings if they have employees. Which of the following organizations could not receive approval for tax-exempt status under IRC 501(c)(3)? A local chapter of the Salvation Army, a partnership for educational research, a college alumni association, or a local boys and girls club. Focus on the organizational form, not just the mission. Think about it. The correct answer is the Partnership for Educational Research. A 501(c)(3) has to be organized as a corporation, a trust, or an unincorporated association, not a partnership or sole proprietorship. The tempting wrong choice is the Alumni Association, because it sounds social, but it can still qualify if it's organized properly and operated for charitable or educational purposes. Every exempt organization must have a what? A charitable purpose, an employer identification number, an annual information return, or an affirmation letter from the IRS. Watch for the word every, because it wipes out a lot of exceptions. Think about it. The correct answer is an employer identification number, an EIN. Even if the organization has no employees, the EIN is still used for federal tax administration, banking, filings, and IRS correspondence. The tempting wrong answer is an annual information return, but some exempt organizations, like churches, generally don't have to file Form 990.